I should have combed my hair.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome
Yes,
to
hello. Oh.
welcome to Billie Holiday Jazz Singer book discussion, um, hosted by Community Library of Mississippi's Book Toaster Speaking Series. And I'm the author, Meredith Coleman McGee, and I'm here in Jackson, Mississippi, and I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sherry Henderson. I'm also the author of Black Magnolia and Unequivocal Southern Belle. Happy to be here with Ms. Meredith Coleman McGee and to engage in the wonderful book discussion of Billie Holiday Jazz Singer.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Vicki Jenkins, and I am in Jackson, Mississippi, in the Community Library of Mississippi. And excuse me, please, for me saying, Sherry, I didn't recognize who you were, but it's sorry about that. But
that's okay. All right, Vicki. I recognize
you. Okay, so I have a program, and I wanted to ask each of you a question. When were you introduced to Lady Day? And I'm going to start. I actually was introduced to Billie Holiday, who was known famously around the world, even today, and she died 64 years ago, as Lady Day. And she was known for wearing a gardenia in her hair and for becoming the defining voice of jazz in 1933. I was introduced to her when I was in the 10th grade. That was in 1978. And the two songs that really hit my heart was God Bless the Child and Ain't Nobody's Business It's If I Do, which she redid. Her idol did it originally, Bessie Smith, who was famous for blues, and Billie Holiday famous for jazz. Okay, so you can start, Miss Sher.
Well, I was introduced to her just formerly with Diana Ross when Diana Ross did Lady Sing the Blues. And so just watching that movie was fascinating, and it got me to be, it just brought her alive for me. And so at that time, her relationship with Bessie Smith was awesome to me because Bessie Smith has always been an idol of mine, so as well. So it was nothing like seeing Diana Ross portray her and to just make sure that the world knew who she is and who she was. And I say who she is because she lives on every day.
Right, right. Okay, thank you, Deacon Timothy Brown, for a comment. And I just asked everybody, um, how were they introduced to Billie Holiday for the first time? And I think Vicki is going next, and you can answer after her. Vicki, when were you first introduced to Billie Holiday?
in all actuality, excuse please, I wasn't introduced till you wrote the book. I really didn't even know anything about Billie Holiday. I'm sorry. I never was introduced to it. Now, growing up, I wasn't as interested in music and such while growing up. So I really didn't know anything about Billie Holiday until you wrote the book.
Okay, well, very good. Okay, What about you, Deacon Brown?
Well, I didn't born with Billie Holiday. My grandmother listened to Billie Holiday late 1925.
Mm.
My grandma, she loved Billie Holiday long as she was 20 years old at the time when she was in Rankin County, Mississippi, like on Collins.
Well, where did your grandmother live?
My grandma, my grandma from Rankin County, Mississippi. She lived in Jackson.
Oh wow, so she was a Billie Holiday fan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Brenda. Okay, she's not ready yet. Okay, so
yeah. Thank you, sir. Probably just bad light there. I think that there's just a bad light.
Okay, so we
need to request. Y'all need to come.
I'm here.
Okay. So I asked everybody a question. When were you first introduced to Billie Holiday, who was known famously as Lady Day?
Another light.
Well, I've seen some of the movie, Lady Sings the Blues, and until you gave me the book to, to preview, that's when I really made the connection. Jazz, I'm really at my age today in 2024 being introduced to jazz because it was never a genre that I embraced. So this is something new, something different that I'm learning. I found her life to be very interesting and which kept my attention. But through my lifetime, I was never really a jazz person. Now I'm married to one. I'm married to a person that loved jazz. So he gave me, he said, listen to one, he gave me some of her songs to listen to. And by listening to her, for me, she's speaking, she's telling the story through her music from the lyrics that I've read, from the couple songs that I've previewed.
Yes, she's a great intimate singer, one of the greatest intimate singers. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to start by giving a few facts about Billie Holiday. First of all, she was born Eleanor Harris on April the 7th, 1915 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But her mother just went there because she had a traveling job and gave birth. And her mother was from Baltimore, Maryland. Her mother's father was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Her mother's mother was born in Baltimore, Maryland. And her bloodline had been there since before the Civil War in Baltimore, Maryland. So Billie Holiday was born in Philadelphia, but she was really raised in Baltimore, Maryland. And she went by several last names, and people could easily change their names back then. So Billie Holiday's grandfather was named Charles Fagan. And Billie Holiday's mother was originally named Sarah. She renamed herself Sadie Fagan to give herself her father's name because she was an illegitimate child of Charles Fagan, and there was a lot of negative stigma if you were illegitimate in those days. And also Billie Holiday went by Gall. Her mother married only once, and that was when she was 5 years old. It didn't last long, but she also used that name. So she used Harris, her maternal grandmother's name, and then she used Fagan, her paternal grandfather's name, and she used Gall, her stepfather's name. And when she was in Baltimore, Maryland, she spent part of her childhood in Pigtown, which was a slum area in Baltimore, Maryland. And she was introduced to music when she was very young, she was even singing music. I mean, singing when she was 6 years old. And jazz had become very popular in Baltimore, Maryland when she was a child. Her father, Clarence Holiday, was a part of a jazz outfit when he was as early as age 14. He used to play the banjo. And that's how he met Sarah Sadie, Billie Holiday's mother. They met after he played at a carnival. And he learned how to play the guitar. He had to go to World War II when Billie Holiday was maybe 2 or 3 years old. He was drafted into World War II. That's how he learned how to play guitar, but he also was exposed to mustard gas during the war. But anyway, Billie Holiday was always around music because she was um, spent a lot of her youth at good time houses where people would party and she grew up kind of fast because she was out she was at good time houses in the red light district of Baltimore when she was 11 and 12. But she stopped going to school when she was in the 5th grade. So it's kind of how, and then she went to reform school twice when she was a child. And she learned formal singing in the Catholic reform school. She had to sing in the choir there, the Catholic choir. So I think that's how she that gave her something about learning about defined diction and announcing words. It but her greatest influences was Bessie Smith, who was big in blues, and Louis Armstrong, who was big in jazz. And by the time Billie Holiday was 13 years old, her mother moved to Manhattan and then to Harlem. Her father was already there, and he had recently married. And by then, he was a member of the Fletcher Henderson band, which was like one of the biggest bands in terms of jazz and swing, which is danceable music at that time. And she reconnected with her father. It was a little rocking because they hadn't really had spent a lot. He was a part of her life, but he was traveling, doing his music. And when she first was born, he was in the war, so he was around her some. But they really connected through music once she moved to New York. He even introduced her to a lot of the clubs, but he himself did not believe that um, the music world would accept her style of singing. She was just unique. And really, when the Columbia record executives saw her style of singing, they felt that she had established something new and fresh. And John Hammond, when he first saw her singing from table to table, she's just a teenager walking without a microphone singing. He invited other record executives to come and see her. And one night she was, Monet had, who owns a speakeasy in Harlem, invited John Hammond to hear her sing, hoping to get a record deal with Columbia Records. She had already been recorded. Some of her music had already been recorded, but he offered the record deal to Billie Holiday instead of her. And that was like a younger woman upstage and an older woman in her own establishment. She was really but Billie Holiday was unique, and she never wanted to sing like anyone else. And she was a trendsetter. 1939, she was on the cover of Time magazine as one of the 100 women uh, in the world for her distinct music singing sound, which was she was the first woman whose image was in major commercial magazine. But by then, she had Louis Armstrong's music agent, and I'm gonna go. Are there any questions or comments at this point?
No, great dialogue. No, no questions.
Okay. So I'm gonna go over just a few other facts about Billie Holiday. There's a Billie Holiday Theater named for her in Brooklyn. And in March, on March 21st, 2021, the theater received the National Medal of Arts from President Joe Biden. Now, this one of the significant things of the theater is that the theater has produced some of our greatest actors. It was their first stage, like Debbie Allen, Samuel L. Jackson, and they put on events all the time, even now. So her legacy is just so larger than life, and even as as recent as last week, new people are being introduced to Billie Holiday. I saw several videos where people in their 20s or older were first introduced to Billie Holiday last week, last month, this year, especially through her song Strange Fruit. And if you see the cover of this program, that's an image of Billie Holiday at Cafe Society in New York in the West Village, around age 24. And this was the first integrated club in the city. And this is when she started singing Strange Fruit. She was one of the first well-known protest singers through that recording.
Wow.
Yes, and I wanted to name some of the songs that was recorded before, protest songs that was recorded before her. Oh Freedom, which was a post-Civil War Negro spirit, 1850. Lift Every Voice and Sing, James Welton Johnson, 1905. The Alabama song, Kurt Will, 1925. And then Strange Fruit was recorded in 1929. So Strange Fruit was actually one of her songs that was banned on the radio. But she was brave to sing. Well, actually, Cafe Society was when she went from a local sensation to becoming a real superstar, and to go from Pigtown and dropping out of school in the 5th grade, and there are other details about that in the book, to becoming great at something, and using your voice as a defining sound in the jazz genre was just over the top. And she did she wrote songs, she was a songwriter, she became an actor as well. She appeared in 2 movies. They were musicals. The first one was with Duke Ellington, who was one of the greatest composers ever. And so this book introduces you to jazz. He compares to Bach or somebody like that because he was just great. Duke Ellington had a big band. He was one of the Cotton Club stars, and I think you mentioned the Cotton Club earlier. The Cotton Club was not integrated. The blacks performed on stage, and it had a white audience, very upscale audience, um, gangsters, actors, just a great mix of people, especially tourists. Tourists always went to the Cotton Club. It's a very large club, but at the Cotton Club, the actors, the black entertainers who was bringing all this money into the club could not even use the restroom in the club. They would have to walk down the street to use the restroom. So Billie Holiday was at the first integrated, Cafe Society was the first integrated club. And actually it was very unique because um, they Barney Jefferson started the club. He was originally a shoe salesman. He started the club because he was Jewish, but he wanted um, people of different races to be able to mingle together and entertainment. But anyway, his staff would see the blacks in the back of the bus. I mean, the back of the club near the kitchen, and give the blacks the best seat. And the entertainment was mixed as well as the audience. So when Billie Holiday started singing "Strange Fruit," and it was bringing so many people, especially celebrities, to the club, it caught the attention of the government, and Harry Anslinger sent people there to ask Billie Holiday to stop singing Strange Fruit because he did not want the races mixing, because to him, the races mixing could lead to interracial relationships. So he took his war on drugs. At first, he um, was focused his resources on just jazz musicians and singers, all of them, and he stopped focusing on all of them because they would never snitch on each other. And if someone went to jail for marijuana charge or whatever, they would put their money together and get them out. They were very loyal to one another. And so he stopped focusing on them collectively, and he started put all of his resources on one person, and that was Billie Holiday, because she was singing a song that, in a way, that was making people realize how horrible it was. Lynching, taking justice into your own hand, and all of that. And also she produced a lot of hits. She was the first black woman in an all white band that toured in the South. And she just excelled. And in my research, she made good money. By the height of her career in the 40s, she was making $250,000 a year. But
wow,
yeah, the government sent 3 black men to infiltrate her in a circle to bring her down. And when you become a target of a government that has so many resources, there's a dead end for the target.
Now I did read the lyrics and I did listen to that song. And do you think, in my opinion, I think she made the song famous. But I think she sang a truth. That song spoke the truth, and it really spoke it back then to me, in my opinion. So do you think that that's what they were afraid of? that she was singing a truth that they was willing to do but not deal with not accept or make it normal or say it was okay, because I think she made the song famous.
Oh yes, the song uh made her famous, made her a superstar, and she's at age 23. She was actually known by then around the world. The recording, it people were, her unique sound is what really kept. She was on the cover of Time magazine in 1939. She was the first Black woman whose image was in a commercial magazine, and she was a trendsetter. But also, the lyrics of the song was describing how unjust it was to for a mob to remove a person from jail and take the law into their own hand. But also, the powers that be did not want race mixes, but they didn't want white women to be with any other race. But it was okay for them to be with us and all the other races of women, but they wanted to preserve white women for white men. And that was one of the, in my research, the biggest part of that. But she was really brave to. Her mother did not want her to sing that song, period. Neither did John Hammond. They felt that it would put her life at risk to sing it, but she said she was willing to do it because, see, her father died in 1937 because he couldn't get medical treatment. She was very brokenhearted to lose her father after establishing such a beautiful relationship with him finally. And so, racism made life a hell for people in the 30s, even beyond that. But she was 20 years before the civil rights movement as a voice, and she was brave, and it cost her a lot, but she did what she wanted to do. She enjoyed her life, and she she created the name Billie Holiday. Her father, when she was young, would nicknamed her Bill because she was tomboyish. She would play marbles, fist fight. She was a traditional girl, and her favorite silent actor was Billy Dove. And so she took those, and of course she gave herself her father's name because they gave her legitimacy to have her father's name with her, because she was a product of she was an illegitimate child, and taking his name gave her better status in society. But I think so, Brenda, that the song spoke a lot of truth, and she would always do it last. And in my research, when she first sung the song, she would sing it so emotionally that she herself sometimes would cry. And she had never seen anyone lynched. But the stories of racism the stories can come to life to people just from hearing them. I mean, Sherry, you're from the South. Vic is from Clarksdale. I mean, that's home of Ike Turner. A lot happened in the Mississippi Delta, but racism was countrywide. I mean, it was everywhere.
Exactly.
Billie Holiday couldn't walk through the front door of a hotel in Manhattan during that time. She still had to go through the service elevator. So they went through a lot, but they put all of their energy into their art, and I think that's one of the things that made them so great, and they're such a great genre. I mean, Miles Davis, Coltrane, and jazz is still here, and they had a huge influence on popular culture. Billie Holiday used to call men daddy, daddy, all that merged into popular culture. Her Lester Young, who most of her, a great number of her famous recordings, he played behind her. He played saxophone. Uh, he was also one of the trendsetters. For instance, if someone he would wear shades inside on stage as well as outside. If someone um, insulted him, he would take a small whisk broom and wipe his shoulder off. Then you have Jay-Z in 2009 singing in hip hop doing the same thing. Even President Obama has imitated that. Well, that came from jazz culture. They changed how blacks perform from Vanderbilt style of performing and singing. They were different from um, Louis Armstrong, Bessie Smith style. Bessie Smith was um, loud. Billie Holiday was elegant and mild, even though Bessie Smith and Louis Armstrong were her greatest influences. Um, so a lot of popular culture started from jazz, and jazz started in New Orleans. And Louis Armstrong taught the Fletcher Henderson band members how to swing, which swing was like danceable music. So jazz, uh, Billie Holiday is one of the jazz gods, as uh, uh, Sonny Rollins refers to them, who I interviewed. It was like one of the greatest honors for me to interview him, because when I interviewed him, he was 92 and he's still in New York, but he played in the same venues and jazz festivals with Billie Holiday and Miles Davis, Coltrane. He knew Charlie Parker and all of them. So are there any other questions or comments? We have about 15 minutes left.
Who do you think was her? I mean, I'm sure there were people around there that had her best interest, but did she have like a good friend, someone that she could trust, someone who she was just Billie Holiday, I'm your friend, and the fame that came with her didn't matter because they were truly her friend? Do you think there was anyone there at that time that was truly her friend?
She had very dear friends throughout her life. Um, Lester Young was one of her dear friends. He was like a brother to her. um, then you had the Feathers. Miles Davis was one of her friends and neighbors. She had friends throughout her life who had her back. And she had people in her circle who were really her enemies. That was the problem part of it, that there were people who she thought were her friends who were not. And then she had her own demons with drugs and addiction. Um, but yeah, she had very, very good friends, always.
So Meredith, let me ask a question. In your research, did it tell what brought her to a drug addiction? Was it the pressure from that surrounded her career, or was it the struggle of her life, or that, or a combination of those type of things?
Well, in the research, her first husband to Jimmy Monroe. She elevated from smoking marijuana to using opioids, and they had a troubled marriage because he had a lot of women. That's why she wrote the song "Don't Explain," because she saw some lipstick on his collar and he was trying to explain it. And in my research, also women who heard the song said hearing the song influenced them to want to leave their no good man, which I thought was interesting. And so since he was so promiscuous, uh, she, tit for tat, and she started dating Joe Guy, who's in her band, and then the research is kind of conflicting. Some say that she introduced him to Harry, and some say he introduced her to Harry. Anyway, they were both uh, involved in it. And heroin, in my research, it says it's a drug that is almost impossible to kick.
Yes.
But people have. So it's a very small amount of people who have that have. And also the mafia controlled 32,000 speakeasies. And all of the money that came through it, they were so super rich that they bought out the New York police department. They owned everybody on top of them. They were putting money in people's pockets. So they were benefiting from um, the drugs.
Yes.
I mean, and it brought down the it was had a negative impact on the musicians, especially the Black musicians.
Yes, because that part was a way that they could infiltrate that environment, the musical environment, for the people they didn't like, because they knew the damage that drugs would do to not only their careers but their families and just total destruction.
Yeah, so she's a lot of her money went into her habits, but outside of that, she is one of the greatest intimate singers, and her music is still selling worldwide to this day.
Yes.
And she and nothing could take away from her place as a jazz god, as a defining voice in jazz and all things she accomplished. She was a writer, an author. She wrote songs, and she stopped school when she was in the fifth grade. She grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. Cab Calloway went to high school. His high school teacher taught him how to read music. Billie Holiday could not read music, but she was a musical genius. In spite of the other things, she was just Frank Sinatra said Billie Holiday was one of his greatest influencers. She taught him how to bend notes. Mm-hmm. And she was when the Apollo Theater opened in 34, she was by then a paid singer. Ella Fitzgerald was had just gotten out of a home for girls herself. She auditioned. A lot of people went through the Apollo and auditioned. She never auditioned at the Apollo. When they opened their doors, she was on the stage as an established artist. And Ella Fitzgerald stood in line to get her autograph as well. So she was just a great Lady Day. She was great singer in her art.
So a young girl in 2024 growing up, and she just appreciates jazz and she has a love for it. How do you think her connecting to Billie Holiday today would influence her life?
Well, I think that the Billie Holiday story is an inspiring story because it's a story of a person who came from an humble beginning, a rough neighborhood. There are a lot of little girls living in rough neighborhoods all over the world who became great and famous and has a legacy that has helped make other people great. There's a theater in Brooklyn, New York, the Billie Holiday Theater, that is a stage for young girls right now. And they have a program going on today and all the time that is are training people in the arts. So I think that any young girl can be inspired by Ella, Eleanor Harris, Eleanor Fagan, Eleanor Gall, Billie Holiday, Lady Day. She was an exceptional woman who became a superstar.
Congratulations, Meredith. Billie Holiday.
Jazz singer.
Billie Holiday.
And
like
that's go ahead.
And since I've just gotten introduced into Billie Holiday, and I feel bad that I was not introduced growing up. I did not have any music or any introduction to any other business, any other musical instruments or songs or anything like that. Growing up, I'm sorry I was not introduced to any of it.
Your
and
father
so
was a
I'm
singer?
learning.
Your father was a singer?
Well, Daddy did sing with Ike Turner. Yes, Sherry, you remember that. Jerry did sing with Ike Turner. Yes, he did. But see, I wasn't as familiar with that when Daddy was singing with Ike Turner. I did not really know that until after the fact. I know he did sing with him. But my father, he did not have a group that I understand that he did, but I know my father did sing, and he sang all over town. He really did. But the only one I do know that he did sing with was Ike Turner. So.
Okay.
Yes, I remember your brother telling me that.
So when I share?
I remember your brother telling me that. But
yes.
Vicki, it's not uncommon that, what I guess I am surprised that we were not introduced to her in the early parts of our lives or in high school. But the reality was they chose who they wanted us to be introduced to. And our parents were not introduced, so therefore we were not introduced because we would have had to learn it in our homes.
And so you remember in our homes, music wasn't the biggest thing in our homes. So
exactly.
And that is a lot of what I missed out on because music was not introduced in our homes. And I remember Sherry realized that too, that was not introduced in our homes. So we missed out on a lot of that. And
well, it was rhythm and blues, who am I trying to Bobby Bland, and what's the other one? And the
BB King.
BB King, thank you. And those people were there with the records and stuff like that. But when it came to the jazz, the true jazz, it was not there. I don't think I think I learned jazz all on my own by being exposed outside of the home, not in the home for sure. But
now I really didn't get involved in music till I went to college.
Okay.
And a lot of the music, I was not introduced to jazz because nobody that I knew of was into a jazz musician. Mm-hmm. Now I did study some blues in college and other different artists, but jazz was not introduced to me or anybody else that I associated with in college. So I didn't get into jazz music. I didn't. And so
even the blues, you know, when I was at Ole Miss, I had a free ticket to go see BB King. And I was like, oh my God, you know, why would I do that? And then something said, well, you paid for it, you know, so go. And it turned out to be one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. You know what I mean? But what just think I would have missed out on that because I just didn't want, I just didn't
But see,
appreciate that music.
that's what I was saying. Like in college, now, you know, I was introduced with BB King and all of the other blues artists, Sam Cooke and everybody, and Muddy Waters. I was introduced to all of the blues artists. I just was not introduced to any other type of music during the time growing up.
Yeah,
and I was our opportunity. Here's our opportunity to get on board and learn everything
right.
Meredith's book is going to teach us and take it forward.
Right.
And see, that was what I was saying, that I didn't get introduced in it until Meredith's book. And now I'm starting to read on it. And that is where I'm learning now. And I'm getting into, starting to learn it now. And that is it.
Well,
and
thank you.
And I am the same way. By her introduced me to her book, she made me go listen to another genre of music to really listen to it because I didn't listen to it. Like when I was growing up.
Oh, you muted.
You accidentally muted herself.
You muted yourself.
But see, that's what I was talking about. I didn't get introduced to jazz and other jazz musicians. Tell you,
right.
Yes.
Okay, well that's I'm about to wrap it up now. Oh, you were muted. I'm sorry, Brenda. But anyway, I'm going to invite you to buy a book. You can use my Cash App which is the $ and my name Meredith ETC, and I can mail you a autographed book. I only have one hardback book left, and it's $25, and the shipping would be $10.
Can you bring it to me next Thursday?
Sure. And the softback edition is $15, and the shipping for that would be $4, so it would be $19. But since I'll be bringing yours, I could just give it to you. Then
okay. Yeah, just bring me mine on next Thursday.
Okay.
And will you take credit card at that
next
time?
Thursday. I will get one of yours Thursday because I'm coming too. So,
yay!
I'm in.
Okay, hold on, Vicky.
I'm coming too, so I get one of yours Thursday. Okay.
Yay!
Okay, that's your birthday. It's your birthday. Okay, so you want to you want me to bring it Thursday
to Clarksdale?
Okay. All right, so I'll just
and will you take credit cards at that time, or will I have to or you want everything to go through Cash App?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I can bring my I'm gonna bring my my credit card.
Your Square?
My tab.
Okay.
I can bring my tab. Okay, well, thank you for participating in this event. And are there any final questions that you wanted to ask about my research or final thoughts or anything about the book Billie Holiday Jazz Singer?
Well, I have more questions, so I'm just going to write them out and send them to you because I do have some more questions, but I'll reach out to you.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and ask one or two of the questions.
No, I just wanted to know, like, what happened at the end. I think I read in the book that at the end of her life, we don't want
to do the spoilers. We don't want to say what we want people to read the book and find out. Don't tell what happened at the end.
Well,
Okay,
since
well,
I'm reading,
I'm
I
going
don't
to
really
text
want to
it.
know the end of it just yet.
I'm going to write it.
So, so,
I'm going to ask you in the text because
so Brenda, are you at the end and still have this question, or are you just trying to get the answer before you get to the end?
no. I'm done with it, but I just had a question about her royalties,
Okay.
who's there,
Oh,
who's left to,
yeah, but it's a lot.
oversee everything for her.
The book it's a lot been added. You got to get the final book. It's a lot was added since the one you saw.
Okay,
And
okay.
even pictures. Yeah,
Okay,
more
well, I'll have to
research
get
was
it. Yeah.
you got to get the final copy.
Okay,
Okay.
that clears up some confusion for me too, because I know of copies, and then this is the latest version. Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
that helps
final
me.
version.
This
And
helps
she
me.
saw the proof. She saw one of the early proof copies of the book.
Okay, okay,
And more research was done, and the final book is different from the proof.
okay, okay.
Oh yeah, Okay, so I'm glad oh, and by the way, Brenda Coleman Tatter is my aunt.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She's my father's younger sister in Newport News, Virginia, and she bought him um um a double jazz CD with Miles and Coltrane and all of them in there. And he died about 7 months ago, but he loved that CD. He would just be listening to it. And so my dad, different from you all's household, my dad played jazz in a band in high school in Gaston, Alabama.
Mm.
He introduced us to jazz when we were babies. We were bobbing our head. Jazz, blues, R&B. But so
But Sherry, since you associated with John so much in class, since y'all were in the same class, did you know whether Daddy? I know Daddy did sing with Ike Turner, but did you know where else Daddy did sing?
No, I don't, Vicky. I don't. He just told me that, and he said, and singing around like you said, but no, I didn't know of any other famous people that he sang with.
Okay.
But John is still around, so I can ask him.
Okay. Yeah, he's still around.
okay then. Well, thank you.
I'll send him a text today.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for coming, you guys, and you all have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too. Love
Awesome.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you
Okay, love you
Thursday.
too.
Mary,
All right, see y'all later.
I have another
Bye-bye.
question for you, but I'll talk to you later with my question. It's not about the book, it's totally different. My question is, do you know who buys your books on Amazon? Do you have a way of finding that out, who buys your books on Amazon?
No,
Okay, all right. So, okay.
no. All you know is what country they live in.
Right. And
All
whether
thing
they're
you get is whether it's a US sale or Italy sale or German
or whether it's an Amazon customer. And they make sure they tell you that.
they know that. All the time I know is if they buy directly through me through Cash App or through their credit card or out of my hand. That's
Okay,
the only way
gotcha.
I know.
Okay. Okay, it's the same here. Okay. Thank
Uh-huh.
you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All
See
right,
you
you guys have a
Thursday.
great day, and I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Okay, see you Thursday.